Hi Libra, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your mid-March 2025 love reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's what I call the bridge and the gap spread. And the way it works is to look at the past, present, future energies between you and your main love interest. Once we get through all that, we'll pull some more cards as well for some additional insight. That's where the bridge and the gap dynamic comes into play. As far as the decks being used, on the left side we have the Lover's Path Tarot, on the right side we have the Romantic Tarot. And also keep in mind it's a general reading, so I'm going to be referring to the cards on the left as the energy and the cards on the right as the other person's. If you feel that's a way around your situation, definitely trust that. Alright, so with all that out of the way, we'll get started. Past energy on your side, we have the Five of Staves. So this is a Leo energy here. And to me, this says more likely you could have been friends with this person in the past, and maybe you might have made an attempt to flirt with them, but it might have fallen flat. So the reason why I say that is if we look at their facial expressions there, if I get this to focus, there we go. You can see it looks like the two guys that are smiling there, and this person looks very serious, right? So it could just be one of those things where maybe you thought you were being playful in your approach, but it could have just been one of those things where maybe they took it the wrong way. So it could have just fallen flat in that regard. Past energy on their side, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So this is Capricorn energy here. And yeah, it could just be saying that ultimately that seems to point to what we were saying, right? Where maybe they just had a more serious approach to things. So even though if you meant well by that situation in the past, it is could have been misunderstood by them. So they might have actually taken some offense to it in the past. Present energy on your side, we have Triumph. So this is actually the equivalent of the World card. So to me, this says that ultimately it looks like you are seeing the positive progress with this person in the present. Even if it's just one of those things where you might look back at the time and realize like, oh, okay, I get what happened now, right? So maybe, for example, if you got to know them a little bit better, then you understand that, okay, yeah, maybe even though I thought it was just a like playful thing, I could see why this person wouldn't have thought that's what it was, So it could just be one of those things. Even just learning more about the person is helping you move the connection forward. But for some of you, there could be an actual physical connection as well. Present energy on their side, we have the Queen of Swords. So this is actually a Libra energy here. So for some of you, this could just be saying that they're spending a lot of time thinking about you. But if not that, could just be saying that even so, this person just seems to be, again, in a bit of a serious energy. And it could just be that they have a lot going on. So maybe that's part of the realization you're coming to, right? So, for example, maybe there were cross wires there because maybe you took their reaction personally in the past, but it could just be now you come to realization like, okay, they had a lot on their plate, so they weren't necessarily in the headspace to be in that like playful energy at the time, right? So that's what I'm seeing with that. Right, future energy on your side, we have the Nine of Coins. So this is Virgo energy here, and Amita says that ultimately you won't stress out over the relationship too much. I feel like this is you just letting go of the stress behind it and just taking a more like playful approach to things, and having like a bit of a if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't type of energy, and just being okay with the outcome either way. Future energy on their side, we have the Knight of Cups. So actually what could be happening here, this is a Pisces energy, but what it could actually be pointing to is this person might need to feel like the person that they're with is very independent. So once you actually start to embody that independent energy, that might actually make them feel comfortable enough to let their guards down to say, okay. So for example, maybe in the past they just had super needy partners. So they're like, okay, I'm not going down that path again, right? So they could just have their guard up now in general until they could see, okay, if I'm going to pursue a connection with a person, I need to know that they're independent and that they're not going to lean on me too heavily. Again, right? Because you could actually see why that would make sense. Because let's say if they're very career driven with this Capricorn energy, or maybe if they just have a lot on their plate in general, right? Then those aren't energies that would work well with someone who's super needy. So maybe they just needed to see that out of you before they felt comfortable enough to be more open and light within the connection. Bottom of the deck on your side, we have strength. So yeah, so to me, this is an indicator that your attraction for this person is really strong, but I feel like you might have figured out how to harness it in a way. Because again, like I said, maybe you came to the realization that, oh, okay, I see why this person approaches things the way they do, right? And then it helped you accommodate that energy in a more positive way to move the connection forward. All right, and bottom of the deck on their side, we have the Five of Wands. So interestingly enough, we see it in the past on your side, and then we see it at the bottom of the deck here. So I can see this playing out a couple of different ways. One could just be saying, so again, maybe they take things pretty seriously, right? So maybe their approach in the past made them think that they couldn't take you seriously, right? So they're like, okay, this is someone, it's just not really at the level I would need them to be for a relationship. So maybe that's why they might have been a little dismissive in the past. Or this could also just be saying that maybe this is more their energy, saying that ultimately they do want a committed partnership, right? We see the person holding the flowers behind their back like they want to give it to one of these people, but most people wouldn't be aware of that, right? So it could just be one of those things where deep down they might think, oh, I totally want to be in a committed partnership, but the energy they give off to others around them might totally throw them off that path, so they wouldn't actually think that was the case. Not intentionally, I feel like it's a subconscious thing, but that's what I see with that. We'll see what the Oracle cards add to the mix. First, we'll see what we get from the Messages of Love Oracle card deck. Just going to pull a single card here, so I did pre-shuffle it. I'm going to give it a few more shuffles now, though. And I'll put the deck down. And what I'm going to do is cut the deck and we'll pull a card. I'll get this out of the way. And I'll do the same thing with the Wisdom Oracle deck. So I also pre-shuffled this deck, but I'm going to give it a few more shuffles now. And I'll put this deck down now. There we go. And I'll actually cut the deck and we'll pull a card here too. Right, take this one, get this out of the way. And we'll take a look at the Messages of Love card first. All right, we have regret. It says, someone feels remorse for the way they treated you. So that's an interesting one there, right? Because the remorse, quote unquote, could have been from the past situation where, like I said, maybe you were coming from a positive energy with the approach that you took in the past, but it just was misread at the time. So maybe there was a little bit of regret in that regard. That seems a little less likely. To me, it could be more of this person, being dismissive of you, right? So maybe they have some regret there where, like, okay, maybe. So it could just be one of those things. A perfect example, I mean, right now we're in the Venus retrograde. We're about to start Mercury retrograde, which is probably why I'm tripping over my words too. But could just be one of those things where, let's say, if that happened during the retrograde, right now, all of a sudden, you're at the next one, you're able to look at things from a different lens and realize that, oh, okay, you know what? Maybe I get why they misunderstood my approach as not being playful in the past, right? And then they say, oh, you know what? Maybe that was wrong of me to be dismissive of this person. So that could be what's helping the connection move forward in that regard. Just seeing the situation through a different lens now, and then that would point to the triumph energy, which is the world card, which could represent that spiritual growth. All right, and from the Wisdom Oracle, we have chaos and conflict. There's the artwork. The number is 33. So yeah, I mean, for a lot of you, this might be pointing to what already took place, but we'll see. Maybe this is going to point to something else. So we'll see what the message in the book says. All right, the relationship message says, stubbornness is keeping you in a stage of opposition. The incessant need to be right will only serve to prolong the conflict that deep down you want to be resolved. This is an opportune moment to learn about your values, your sense of self, what's really important to you. Some things are non-negotiable. If that's true, it's not necessary to fight. Can you find a way through the stormy emotions to higher ground? Soon the air will clear, and you will be in a much better place than before, for the storm will have passed, blazing a path for new growth in its wake. Things can become electric and enlightened, always better than before, if you use this time constructively. So that's interesting there because that does make it sound like there was a conflict between the two of you, where it says stubbornness is keeping you in a state of opposition. So, whereas I was viewing this as more of a playful energy in the past, maybe this was something a bit more serious. And I just didn't realize that. I was just thinking, oh, this person's just being serious about things where you were being more playful. But for some of you, there could have been a legitimate conflict there. So if that's the case, maybe there's some realization around that too, right? Where, like I said, maybe the two of you are seeing the other side of the situation from the way it went down, which again, like I said, that's where retrogrades could be positive things. If something already went off the rails in the past, the retrogrades can help you see them through a different lens now. So definitely an interesting twist there, but hopefully that resonated for you guys. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.